of situations like Joe Mixon in Cincinnati, where all offseason, for a while, I think we kind of took it for granted that Joe Mixon was going to get cut for a variety of reasons, off the field issues, efficiency just crashing in 2022, very expensive considering his recent production. But then the Bengals kind of gave him a series of like votes of confidence. Coach Zach Taylor said they were moving forward with him, I think was the exact quote, something like that. I was like, wow, okay, they're not cutting Joe Mixon. And they certainly passed the part of the offseason where it would have made the most sense to cut Joe Mixon. But just today on Monday, the Athletic's Joe Daner reported that the end game for Joe Mixon, quote, will be determined by whether he is willing to realign his $12.8 million salary cap hit, aka take a massive pay cut, to the current state of the running back market. And this does make a lot of sense to me. I mean, I was shocked that he survived so long on the roster, that there hadn't really been any even real rumors about his roster spot being in danger. We were kind of just starting to move forward, thinking that the Bengals had decided to keep Joe Mixon and kick this can down the road. And the end game could still be Joe Mixon remaining on the Bengals 53-man roster once week 1 comes around. But I'm not surprised now to see this talk kind of like finally coming out into the open and Joe Mixon's roster spot being like put officially in danger. And this is a really, really long preamble to just ask you, like, what do you think about this?
Right. Well, I mean, it opens up a lot of it opens up avenues for a lot of backs to assert themselves here. I know actually this will be the second Travion Williams comment or mention of
that is stunning
of the podcast, and probably the 8th of our show this offseason. But the coaching staff, including Zach Taylor, has really talked up Travion Williams, who has basically not been used at all.
Like the entirety of his rookie contract, he's been in the league for a while.
But and maybe that does have something to do with Joe Mixon probably heading out. We have Chris Evans, we have Chase Brown, the highly productive rookie out of the University of Illinois. So, I think any of those guys could emerge as the primary back if Mixon does head out. Now, I do want to mention that the Bengals last year were the third highest pass rate over expected in the league. So they're not exactly establishing it at any point.
Joe Mixon was a big part of that too. Caught 60 balls.
Yes, right. So there will be value in the PPR scam category as well for these running backs. But I mean, right now, it might be good to take shots on some of these guys in best ball drafts. And I know fantasy football managers tend to shy away from backfields like this. I don't even want to mess with it. Who knows? Well, that's good. Like that's kind of where an edge can be. If you look into it strongly enough, if you take enough shots on these guys, and if you get it right, man, I mean, you could get insane value out of one of these guys here.
I have a hard time believing it's going to be Travion Williams, who played out an entire rookie contract and touched the ball 55 times in 4 years. And that was because he was behind Joe Mixon. That was because they had Samaje Perine. They had a few other kind of like higher profile reserve backs cycle through the roster in those years. But as we kind of talk about with Alexander Mattison, if you go through an entire rookie contract and never like command touches, that's never a good sign. And I know they're talking him up. They also let him reach the open market. He gauged his value. There was no value out there to be found for him. He returned to Cincinnati on a 1-year deal. I would be much more interested in rookie Chase Brown, who some people are truthing for different reasons. He's already 23, had major college workloads, so maybe a lot of tread off the tires. Only 5th-round draft capital, I believe, for Chase Brown. But I have a really hard time getting excited with Travion Williams, despite the Bengals coaching staff trying to make him a thing. And I'm drafting 0 RB. I am taking a lot of flyers on Chase Brown, with the knowledge that Joe Mixon could retain his roster spot. But I'm ignoring basically everything said on Travion Williams and focusing on Chase Brown.
I think that's probably a good process here. I think Chase Brown will be dismissed by kind of haughty analytics nerds like
Quote,
myself.
Smart Twitter.
Right. Well, he's just a guy. He didn't impress in college. He just got a huge workload. Well, hey. It might be time. To embrace. I actually have an article coming out about this very thing.
You're apparently giving up on analytics, I hear.
We are pivoting away from analytics. We are pivoting toward film, and Not entirely. I don't want to freak anybody out, but yeah. So Chase Brown's boring. This is what you're saying? Chase Brown is not exciting at all, and that's okay. And he could definitely still be the lead back here and be really useful for your fantasy team, unless you just love analytics. You don't really like fantasy points. In that case, you don't draft Chase Brown.
There's a certain segment of the fantasy football populace where they hear 23-year-old rookie and they say me like,
yeah.
Sorry,
I mean, or worse, they throw their laptop across the
sure. Or they projectile vomit.
Yeah, right.
A lot of different reactions.
None
of them are excitement. But Chase Brown, he caught 27 balls last year too for the University of Illinois. And this seems like a guy who has multiple avenues to force his way onto the field. So even if Trayvon Williams does become like an important part of a post-Joe Mixon committee, if such a committee even exists, it seems like there are a lot of avenues for Chase Brown to force his way on the field. I guess I can't overlook the fact that Trayvon Williams, this coaching staff did like him enough to at least re-sign him when they could have put a different stamp on the backfield.
Yes.
But do you think Joe Mixon will be on the team?
No.
I don't think so either. It seems like a Leonard Fournette with the Jaguars type situation, or running back is a position where a lot of high dollar players seem to get cut in training camp. Like Leonard Fournette, can't think of any other examples, but I know it is something. I mean, Dalvin Cook, as we saw, wasn't camp, but they waited until June to release him. And a lot of times there are kind of like arcane salary cap reasons for that. But I do just sort of feel it would just make too much sense for the Bengals to move on from Joe Mixon.
We have to operate as if Mixon is not going to be with the team. Some comments from this offseason from Bengals brass. Zach Taylor 2 months ago said Joe Mixon is, quote, on the team right now. I'm not kidding.
That wasn't parody. That was real.
No. Bengals executive vice president Katie Blackburn said the following. This is back in March. Quote, right now, he's on the team.
Wow, this is, if true, this could be huge.
And we are going to count on him until that wouldn't be the case. But yeah, he's the guy.
Wow.
It's over. It's over for Mixon. And you got to draft as if he's not going to be on the team. And I'm with you. I'm on the Chase Brown bandwagon.
Yeah, just draft Joe Mixon. Yeah, do not draft Joe Mixon and proceed as if he's not on the team. Currently the RB 16. I was recently on with a controversial fellow that some of our audience probably loves, some of them do not like, Mr. Matt Kelly. Always a thought-provoking show. He said that Joe Mixon is a steal. So there's going to be some interesting narratives on that this offseason. I would be steering clear of Joe Mixon. Well, just because,
we have to remember that Joe Mixon will get 200 carries for the Cowboys this year.
He will. That's important to remember for Mr. Tony Pollard. Don't get too comfortable, Tony. And so Joe Mixon, we'll see.